Hello, welcome to Mini Bloks. You're watching Mini Bloks Vlogs. This is the Floor, that's Spider-Man, and today I want to talk to you about the brand new Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie Reboot, that's coming out March 23rd, I believe, this year. And it's much sooner than I thought it was. I hadn't really paid attention to its release date prior to just like the latest trailer that dropped yesterday or the day before. I can't remember when that one came out. It's the first time I've really got some context that this film is literally 2 months away. You know, it's 8 weeks, 7 weeks, really. It's pretty soon. And so I kind of wanted to give my opinions on what I'm expecting from the film, my current feelings from the two trailers, the teaser, and then the first, like, the Morphin Time trailer. And as a Power Rangers fan, and because I've been going all out Power Rangers this month, it kind of made sense to jump in and to get my impressions and opinions out the way pretty quickly. Now, I'm not going to do like a big in-depth review. I'm not going to try and pull out things of the trailer and specific things. I literally just want to talk about my expectations and my opinions as a Power Rangers fan. Like I said, I've been a Power Rangers fan since it came out, basically. It's dominated most of my life. I'm not like massively engaged in it in my adulthood, where I've been like watching the recent shows. I did watch Dino Thunder, parts of it, but the actual nostalgia for me, the whole Mighty Morphin era, is near and dear to my heart, and I think it always will be, and I'm having a blast revisiting it with some new toys from this year. And when they announced that they're making the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers film a couple of years ago, they said they're going to bring it back and reboot it back into this original format of the Mighty Morphin group, and they're going to do it as a film franchise. So I believe that's going to be a separate thing. So the TV show will continue. I don't know what they're doing now. Ninja, Thunderstorm, Mega Power, Switchblade. No idea. But I imagine that'll continue as is, and then the film will become a franchise. And I was reading up on Wikipedia about this, and the execs and producers and things, should everything go as planned, they're looking pretty broad at doing 4, 5, 6, 7 films. You know, they're wanting to turn this into a movie franchise, which is awesome news in a lot of ways. So when it first came out and it was first announced, it became my most anticipated film almost immediately, which is a bit daft, really, because like, as a film guy, I'm a bit of a film guy. I really like Tarantino's things, his films. I'm a big fan of Robert Rodriguez, different kind of films. Obviously, I'm a Marvel nerd, and I enjoy Marvel nerds, you know, all the Marvel movies. But you've got like your movies and you've got your films, and there's like a whole sort of mixture of those that I really like. I like both things for different reasons, basically. And Power Rangers rose to the top of that list. Now, when it first came as an announcement, I'm trying to think, there's like 3 films that came out which are like directly aimed at me. There's Sin City 2, A Dame to Kill For, which could be an entire different Mini Bloks vlogs. I'll put that in the list, come back to that one later. But like, my favorite comic book series being adapted again as a sequel by my favorite director, and obviously Frank Miller himself. Should have, this is before I saw the film, should have easily been my top favorite film. And Tarantino, I think, would have been, yeah, well after Django Unchained, but before The Hateful Eight, which I've still not seen. But like, Tarantino and spaghetti westerns should just merge as one. I wasn't a massive fan of Django Unchained, but I think that's just me. I've not watched it since it came out at the cinema. I haven't seen Hateful Eight yet, but for instance, like, these sort of films are on the horizon, and they all very much spoke to me. Guardians of the Galaxy, I was just super excited for. And now the fact that like, Spider-Man Homecoming is happening, and even to an extent, I would still put Mighty Morphin Power Rangers as my most anticipated film. A lot of that is nostalgia. Now, I've heard, I wouldn't say mixed things necessarily. What I've taken away from the current trailers has been mostly negative through people that I know and friends, and just sort of some general sort of reactions of people that I follow and watching things. It all seems to be a little bit negative. And so I wanted to really chip in on that and give my opinions on it as a Power Rangers fan, because that's what we do now, we claim these things. Having seen the teaser trailer, it went from being my most anticipated film to dropping a little bit to being, I'm looking forward to it, but my expectations have been a little bit lowered. And the brand new trailer, the Morphin Time trailer, has kind of, it's more or less kept it the same. There's elements about it that's dropped it, and there's elements about it that's made it more appealing. So basically, what do I think about it? It's a no-brainer if you're going to say original Power Rangers style versus new Power Rangers style. There isn't really any comparison. On both fronts, really, like, I'm partial to the classic one because the classic one's simplistic and, you know, it looks good, but at the same time, it's just people in spandex with a slightly different molded bike helmet on, running around making noises. Whereas the new ones are very much Iron Man. You know, it's like this corner of the market is superheroes. Power Rangers are an original superhero team that has got a massive following to it. And so you merge that with this kind of modern styling and you kind of get what you get now. So it's easy to look at them both and go, which one is better? But like, the short answer is neither, because the original one is the original one and the new one is the new one. So I mean, more people are going to be nostalgic to that one, but is that better? Because like, realistically, when they did the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie, and they did the original concept but like upscaled it so they're a bit more like armored and things, that looked pretty badass. But even then, that suits, you know, that costume and those suits still look like a product of that time in '93. 4, 5, 7, I can't, in the 90s basically, is the Power Rangers the movie looks like Power Rangers the movie in the 90s, whereas this one looks very much like Power Rangers the movie in 2017. So there's definitely, you know, it's not apples to apples, basically. There's, looking at I got my Green Ranger pop. Look at that, it's awesome. Looking at them for the new pop vinyls, in the style of pop vinyls, the new costumes actually look quite good. And there's aspects of the new film, the new trailer, when they actually morph, and in the first bit where you see them fighting the rock dudes, the suits look kind of cool, and because like it's upscaled, it's a film, it's not TV, and it's not obviously converted from a Japanese show, that there's an element of sort of, professionalism is the wrong word, but there's an element of like sort of American cinematic magic to it, and it doesn't look bad, right? Very different. There's no comparisons. It is completely different. It's a different time, but they're not bad, right? I feel like they could have made them much worse. I feel like they could have done them much better, but much better would just kind of be like modernizing but keeping it very old school. And then like you get into this territory of, well, it's been and done, so why do it again, you know? You're either going to just do Ghostbusters again, but just like completely wipe the slate clean and then just ruin it, or you just take it and do something different. And I feel like if you're going to reboot it, then different is where you should be looking, rather than just do what came before. We'll get back to that. So costumes, they're probably definitely, I don't prefer them, but I understand why they look like that, and therefore I don't hate them. My main issues and concerns with it is, you know, people are drawing comparisons to Chronicle and all that. I don't like the fact that they seem to have superpowers outside of being morphed into the Rangers. That seems a little bit, it seems very Spider-Man to me. The whole sort of, now they look at their bodies and they're all muscled out, is very much like that was awesome in the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man film. Made a lot of sense. And then in the Andrew Garfield Mark Webb one, he's obviously trying to move around in the bathroom and he's breaking things. Again, very similar sort of style. I don't like that a lot. It feels a bit cheap to make them like rock hard skin, and they can, you know, the guy headbutts him and then he passes out, and you know, they're all ripped and muscly and strong and they can do stupid leg jumps. I mean, that really annoys me. Just like a good jump would have been fine, but to make them just swing around like that, it looks dumb. It's just like unnecessary leg swiggling in midair is kind of how it looks. So I'm not a fan of the fact that they now have like superpowers in real life, so they don't have to morph. I imagine morphing would like amplify that, because that's the whole point, rather than just wearing a costume. So I can say that as a negative. However, if you draw it back to the original one, that makes less sense, because in the original one they were just chosen because they knew gymnastics and karate. Basically, they were martial arts, so they're already ripped and flexible, if that's the thing. So they've already got athleticism and strength and fighting abilities, and that's why they were chosen. So I guess, who are the Power Rangers? It's probably the 5 people that are the most athletic, strong, and you know, flexible is the wrong word, but you know, it's probably those guys, because like, it's like, well, why would Bulk and Skull pick on Tommy, who can clearly beat the crap out of them because he's like a black belt, you know? He's beating people up left and right. You can see him. If he was stood in front of me and I could see him doing the bloody kicks that he's doing and all the flips and things, and he's ripped and he's muscly, I wouldn't be laughing at him and making fun of him. Ha ha! You're athletic, you are. That's an insult, you know? So it kind of makes sense that you're not going to be like the stereotypical, oh, look at me. You know, it's the whole 90s Spider-Man comment in the cartoon, because they made Peter Parker really buff, and he shouldn't be buff. But at the same time, Spider-Man's pretty buff. So Spider-Man needs to look weak and wibbly, or Peter Parker needs to look a bit more guff. So at the same time, it sort of makes sense that they would just have normal people with like, it makes more sense for them to just be chosen to be these cast of people, because this person's got a good heart, this person's smart, this person can, you know, they come together from the trailers. It looks like they're more of a unit, really, rather than just people put together. So there's like a common bond there by the fact that they're not, you know, they're not karate experts. So basically, if they're going to walk around and start getting into fights and things, they need to be able to compensate for the fact that they don't know kung fu, right? So therefore, it makes sense on both perspectives. I just wish it was toned down a little bit. So maybe they were just a bit tougher, and they like, maybe they started training and learning it, rather than it was just like immediately, hey, look at me, I'm super powered now. So it was more of a case of like, you've been chosen for this, you've got this sort of, your strength's obviously amplified, but you need that skill, and then they train for it. That would have made more sense than it just sort of happening like immediately. Like, a spider bite makes sense. I guess this makes sense. It's just the whole, it's different, and therefore I dislike it a little bit. My biggest problem though with it so far, which is not really my biggest problem, but it's the thing I dislike about it, is what I've seen of the Zords, the Megazord. I saw the toy in Toys R Us the other day. I don't like how that looks, and then also you can see Goldar in the new trailer, and I don't like how Goldar looks. Again, maybe you shouldn't look like some guy wearing a blue dog mask with a costume that wobbles around. So I see why they've gone in that direction. I just think it's a little bit too CG heavy and a bit too shiny and clean. So Goldar is just like a big, it's got like no details to him. It's just like a giant gold statue that's really glistening and shiny. And the Zords are kind of too, again, we've not seen them fully, but the Zords look too perfect, too like streamlined and shiny with so much grey on them. So like when they've actually become the Megazord is practically grey, apart from some like red up in his shoulder pads and things, which must be the T-Rex Zord. Whereas like the original one, I guess, is kind of big, bulky and clunky, but it's the fact that you can see Sabretooth folds out and Triceratops folds out, and they form the legs, and the T-Rex makes the pterodactyl, and you know, you can see how they all fit together, whereas this one looks too transformery, but they've just like overcomplicated it, and I think that pulls away from the aspect of it. Rather than having 5 Zords that join together, it looks like they've been sort of melted down and then like molded into the shape of some robot. So I like that less. However, here's my theory for the film, so it's probably not going to be true, but I don't know, I think it might be true. Also, side note, Rita Repulsa, I forget the lady's name that's playing it, but Rita Repulsa looks awesome, right? I think she looks great. I think she's probably the best thing about it so far. Looks different, but I think that's a cool different. Right? I think they've nailed it perfectly right. And also, again, about the Rangers, I kind of wish their ages were a bit older. The original one, they seem more like 18, 19, you know, you can kind of see that they're a bit more mature, whereas these feel like very 16, 15, a bit nerdy. I don't know, it just feels like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Clearly they're aiming it to try and appeal to the people that liked it before, because that's a massive part of the audience now, and obviously pull in kids, so I guess having younger actors and things might attract like kids to kind of gravitate to it. But at the same time, Iron Man's huge and he's like in his 40s, so I don't think that's necessarily a negative thing, right? I think I would have personally preferred it for them to be a bit older, but at the same time, we've seen a couple of minutes of a trailer, so I'm not going to really judge. You know, again, I don't hate it, it's just different to an extent where I would have preferred it slightly different. But I guess that's me looking at it from this perspective as a 30-year-old that grew up watching this property versus them trying to rebrand it and make it appeal to the olds and mostly to the youngs, because if you can appeal to kids, that's the market for anything like that, and it's a business. So if they love it, they're going to not only watch the films and make the money through watching the films, they're probably going to buy the films and buy the costumes and buy the toys and buy all kinds of other memorabilia, and that's going to make the franchise, rather than us, who 30-year-olds aren't going to dress up as the Power Rangers and run around anymore. Or at least it's not as likely to happen. My theory for the film, Rita says in it that she's beaten or she's defeated, killed Rangers before. Now obviously that doesn't necessarily apply to the original one, but I'm thinking they're going Star Trek with this, you know, because people are talking about it being a reboot. I don't think they're going to be like, everything that happened before is wasted, we're going to crap on that and do our own thing, because people are like, well, way to not, you know, show any kind of loyalty to what came before. In one, they don't have to. It's the same people, you know, it's the same people that are making up the same IP. It's not Ghostbusters people, you know. This is Power Rangers, it's different. They're trying to re-envision it. They're not trying to just scratch that and start again. So my theory is to go in Star Trek with this, because Star Trek, people were flipping out about Star Trek, the J.J. Abrams ones, when they first rebooted as films, because they were like, Star Trek was never about action and this one's all about action and they don't look right and blah 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 blah. And then you watch the film and Star Trek, they didn't just reboot it, it exists. Everything that happened in the original one in the 60s Star Trek is still in the same universe as this one. And that's exactly what I think they're going to do with Power Rangers. This version of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is running alongside the original one. So I don't think that you're going to have like the old Rangers aren't going to turn up in this one like they exist in this world walking around. I wouldn't have thought. Could be wrong. I imagine there's going to be some cameos. That's just my personal opinion. But I think what happened before is going to be like the two very separate universes, but they're not going to just crap on it, basically. I have 100% confidence that this reboot is running simultaneously with the original, but they are going to like separate it as two different kind of universes, which they'll probably intertwine it, because if people think Jason David Frank isn't going to be involved in this, then I think people are being fairly short-sighted. I imagine most people believe that he will be. I know he said on Twitter that, no, I'm not in any way, shape or form associated with the film. Of course, I could be completely wrong, but I very much doubt that. I think he will be in it, and I think there will be some sort of time travel-y aspect to teleporty thing that links them together. If JDF isn't in it, I'm not saying it's going to be in the first one, but I expect it, you know. So I think they're going to do a good job with it, and I think they're going to be faithful, and it's not going to like just completely eradicate it. I think they are going to keep very much on the same tracks, and I think the original show is going to be what's very much an inspiration to the new one, and I would be very surprised if it wasn't at least mentioned or linked or cameoed or something. I 100% believe it's in there. So I have faith in that. Don't take me as that as like a guarantee, but we'll soon find out after March 23rd. And last closing thoughts. Alpha looks ridiculous in the new film, some weird, stupid alien robot head, although realistically, when you think about it, Alpha is probably the most stupid, ridiculous thing of the original show anyway. Because even though I'm very much partial to the original show, Alpha is pretty ridiculous, alright? Even Zordon's not ridiculous so much. Like, Zordon's kind of a little bit more acceptable, but Alpha's a little bit too much. But you don't really mind it. But in this one, I think Alpha's definitely a little bit too much with the weird alien tentacle thing going on. A bit strange. Bryan Cranston, Zordon. I guess that's good. I mean, people are losing themselves about that one. Wow! There's just a face in the wall. So I wouldn't expect like any kind of award-winning performance from that. It's cool that he's in it, don't get me wrong, I think that's a cool thing. I think the command center on Zordon looks fine. That's more or less my my take on it. I'm not going to really jump in anything because who knows, you know? We've not seen it, we can look at it and we can speculate. Ghostbusters, they more or less said that, hey, no, we're rebooting it, everything that happened before just doesn't happen. And look at our new vision, it sucks. And I think they learned a lesson on that one. Whereas this, they're not saying that, you know? It's a new kind of style and people don't like the new style, but newsflash, people don't like it, you know? That's just what people are like. But if you did it exactly the same, people would complain about it. Comic book movies are the same thing. It's either not comic book enough or it's too much comic book. I mean, people complain at Watchmen for being too much comic book. But if they dared make Watchmen not comic book, people would have flipped out even worse. So you can't really win. People are just people. At the end of the day, you can't judge something without having watched it. You can certainly get opinions about it, but I'm not going to stand here and say, they've ruined the franchise, you know, it's all ruined, they'll never make money off this horrible thing. I'm going to go watch it day one, because I'm excited, I'm invested, and I've been there before as a fan, as a Spider-Man fan, because I'm still doubtful that I'm ever going to get a Spider-Man film that I would want, and that's not because that they can't physically make it. I just struggle to visualize Spider-Man as an actor, because to me, as a cartoon, as a drawing, that's Spider-Man. They can nail that to, you know, perfectly. As an actor, I still see an actor. I just can't. It's not like, hey, it's Spider-Man. You know, it's not. It's Tom Holland. You know, but still, very excited for Homecoming. My point is, you can be too much where it's like they've not done it right. The comic books, you know, did this, and the Power Rangers shouldn't be like that. The Power Rangers should be like this, and the Zord should look like that, and the costume should look like this, and Zordon's that, and Alpha's this. If what you want is that, it exists. 20 odd years ago, 100 odd episodes, one film. They've been there, they've done that, it existed, it was awesome. What is the point of them just redoing that again and be like, hey look, here is that thing I did before. You know, if you're at least going to go back to do it, you might as well try and do something new with it. What's the point of making The Walking Dead based on the comic book if the comic book is exactly the same as the series? What is the point? Hey look, I read that and now I've watched that. You know what's going to happen. You want something to be different. And at least they're modernizing it, and they've not ruined it, okay? They've made it different, and it's hard to say if that's going to be better or worse. There's elements which I like and elements which I dislike. I don't like any of it more than I like the original one, but I've not seen the film, so I'm not going to judge it. I'm clearly still very much invested. When Mega Constructs, which I'm sure they're going to be making some toys for it, I'll be buying them, I'll be watching it day one. I'm still excited for it, basically. Don't judge it before you've seen it. I think it looks okay. Alright? I really hope that they nail Lord Zed and they don't make him really shiny. That is my only concern of Mighty Morphin Power Shinies. Everything is shiny. I mean, what do you think? Are you excited for the new film? Do you think everything's too shiny? Do you think that they've gone in too much of a direction? What are your thoughts? What are your opinions? Let me know in the comments down below, or for a more direct way to engage with me, you can send me an email across to mbq@mail.com on Mini Bloks questions. But if you're after some more Power Rangers content, I'm going to be opening up my last Mega Constructs Mighty Morphin Power Rangers set, which is the construction set, which has got Goldar, and it looks ridiculous, the Blue Ranger and the Triceratops Zord. That's going to be up on Friday at 5 p.m. and I'm going to be playing Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Mega Battle on my PlayStation 4 on Wednesday for Mini Bloks plays. For everything else Power Rangers, Mini Bloks. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much for watching my video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below to stay up the latest from my channel. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest under Mini Bloks. What else would it be? If you want to see some more Power Rangers content, you can find me unboxing and constructing the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Saber-Tooth Tiger Zord from Mega Constructs. Or for me to go all out and talk about what the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers show means to me, you can go find last week's Mini Bloks vlogs, where I talk about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But for everything else, Power Rangers, Zords, shiny things, and toys, make sure to keep it locked to Mini Bloks.